To the Real Estate Show with Pat Lopez, where we talk everything real estate. Today, my guest is Mick Fiteni from KW Mainline. Mick, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Pat. Nice to be here.
Great, great. Okay, so I always start off the show by asking people how do they get started in real estate. Then we'll jump into your book of business. You deal with a lot of investors, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so tell me your story. How did you get started in real estate?
I was a squash coach here, and a squash client of mine, she thought I'd be really good at the business.
Right.
And she was a team lead for her name was Jane Broderson. She was a real estate attorney as well.
Right.
And she showed me everything. And I just got into it from there as a squash coach and doing real estate part-time. And then it just took off and decided to go full-time into real estate.
Okay, and then how long ago was that? When did you start?
Started in 2017, got my license then. Didn't make anything my first year.
Okay. That's normal.
Yeah. And then started working have a few listings here and there.
Right.
A few funny stories, my first one. And then after say by end of 2018, I started getting more into the investment side of things.
Okay.
And just started moving along that way.
Okay, so let's follow that path. Why more on the investment side? Was there one person or,
Well,
how did that happen?
Well, I had to eat.
Right.
So basically, I was a squash pro, and I was a squash professional before, and then I was a squash coach, and I thought that I would take a lot of the kids on the main line to Europe for a European tour, a squash tour, Amsterdam and Cologne. And I just thought that if the parents are going to give me their kids to go to Amsterdam, they're going to give me their house to sell.
Right.
But lo and behold, that wasn't the case. So I've always, as a realtor, they say you need listings.
Right.
And so then I had some clients who are real estate attorneys, and I started doing a bit more investment properties, and I played in a band, and the band leader was one of the biggest construction guys in the city. Okay. And so I just started looking for investment properties.
Okay.
And found that was also difficult too, because 2018 everybody's a real estate agent.
Right.
So I basically started to take listings that nobody else wanted.
Okay.
And then I started reaching out to attorneys and some squash clients who are attorneys, and they had some big investors. And I just started taking all the listings that nobody wanted. I take things that not even expired. I didn't cold call or anything like that.
Right.
I just started taking it from there, and now people just give me their problems.
Okay. So now let me ask you this question. Now, did you do any flipping and investing yourself?
Yeah.
Okay. So you did some of that. So,
yeah.
So you understood that part of it. Okay. So, you said you take, people's problems. So how do you market, or you've been doing this now for a while? Do you have a reputation just for, dealing with investors? Are you known in the community, with that, or?
Well, I mean, I don't know about being known in the community because I work out of my basement, but pretty much. But I would say, when I first started doing investment properties, I was also selling residential on the main line or wherever I could. So my first property was near was out by 11th Street. It was up by Olney.
Right.
And just a new flip, recently done, and we saw it from start to finish being done. And so I was so proud of it that I put my Berkshire Hathaway sign out the front.
Right.
And then 2 days later, I get a call asking me to turn the electric on. So there was a fake agent who went there, acted as me, took $3,000 on a clipboard, and basically scammed. And the tenant was in. Now they're you got a squatter.
Right.
So from that point on, I learned not to put a for sale sign on a property that because it's just vulnerable.
Right.
So I market myself just through the old school way, like just meeting people and getting out there. And Zillow is a great way of getting leads because you have listings on the market, and they just buyers call you, and then sellers obviously come through that as well.
Right. So now, I'm sure at this point just have a list of different investors who are always looking, for properties and opportunities. So you have a long list of names that when something comes down the road, you blast it out to them saying, hey, I have this property, if anybody's interested, that kind of thing. And then vice versa. If somebody wants to buy a property and one of your clients are selling, right? You
100%.
just blast it out. So you developed a little bit of a community just with all the people and all the emails and all the clients that you're dealing with.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I just learned from everybody else. Like you got some really big agents who deal with investment properties,
Right.
and I learned a lot from them. A lot of big wholesalers out there too, who I learned from. And I'm not really reinventing the wheel in any way.
Right.
I think if there's anything that I've done different than anybody else, was just the fact that I wanted to take listings that nobody wanted. Like they
Okay.
were just too difficult to sell. But that's how I learned how to sell.
Now, how many listings do you have now?
Currently now 124 in Philly and Baltimore,
Okay.
and probably like 20 under contract.
Okay. And in Philly and Baltimore, that's primarily the two cities?
Yeah, well, because when it came to investment properties, and when COVID happened, a lot of the people from Philly were moving down to Baltimore,
Okay.
and people from New York were moving to Philly
Right.
because just
Yeah,
that
yeah.
transition for them, and anyone who had money was moving to Florida.
Right.
So, we were stuck here.
That's funny. That's true.
Yeah, that's what happened. And that's how I got to Baltimore. I just and then it started growing from there. Now the investors who I have are very heavy in Baltimore.
Right.
So a lot of investors nowadays have they've flipped them, or they've just renovated them and put a tenant in there. And I try to advise investors to, if they want to sell their property,
Right.
put a tenant in, have it producing income, and sell it as an investment property.
Okay.
And so there's sort of a hybrid model now where some of the sellers don't want to put it on the MLS,
Right.
but we have it like they want to sell it off market.
Okay.
So there's a few investors out there who work together
Right.
with myself, and we market those to people around the world,
Okay.
and it's not on the MLS.
Right. Okay. So let me ask this question. What are you finding your investors, let's say your buyers, what are they looking for? Obviously a good deal.
Yeah.
But is there like a certain formula that they're looking for,
Oh,
or everybody's different?
Oh, everyone is different. Like it's what's interesting for me too is that I'll get a phone call from a buyer from New York, and their buy box will be different than a guy from California who calls me
Okay.
up. And then you're getting people from Florida, and then you get these guys from Philly calling up, and they've all got different buy criteria,
Right.
different cap rates that they like to go by. Phillies are most tightest when it comes to their cap rate, so like you're trying to, but it's very different. Even like now, when you think if they're paying with cash,
Right.
are they really paying with cash? They're using hard money.
Right.
And that's changing a lot now too. There are some really good hard money lenders out there who I work with who are just solid, and they just tell you right off the bat if it's going to work or not.
Right.
And then so yeah, it's a mix. It's very interesting to see what a New York investor will find acceptable compared to a Philly investor,
Right.
or California, someone from the West Coast.
Right. Okay. And then are you finding that there's sellers that may have 10, 15, 20 properties that they're saying, I'm done with this. I want to sell.
Oh, nowadays, especially in Philadelphia, I know it's not really something not nice to talk about, but yeah, there are a lot of investors right now who are just packing up and leaving,
Right.
and like in droves. Like a couple of guys out there, like 300 properties.
Right.
Another guy that had like 250. But there are some big, say, investors who are just had enough of the policies, or had
Right.
enough of
Exactly.
the
Because
headaches.
it just makes it restrictive because you have, just to evict somebody or, all the different rule changes.
Oh,
Yeah, I've been hearing that a lot as well. It's difficult.
well, yeah. I mean, you have professional squatters.
Right.
I mean, that's actually a term.
Right.
And I deal with that a lot, and it's hard. It's really, it's, if I could explain to the public that it's not really, sometimes they think that people who own houses are so rich
Right.
and all this money, but I sell houses for people who, for some, have been scammed by an investor. For example, maybe, or they have a property that they've renovated it, like the one I just spoke about,
Right.
and someone's broke into it. Now that house they put $150,000 into, they've had to spend $6,000 to get an
To get the
eviction,
person out. Yeah.
and now their house is maybe only worth 85,
Right.
and no one's paying for that. Like, so yeah, things have to change.
Right. Yeah. It's not as glamorous as, everybody thinks.
Oh, I commend people who invest in the city and who want to, own property, because you're taking on a risk. And I commend you guys, anyone who's willing to go through that, because there's always a way. There are always obstacles,
Right.
and if it was easy, everyone would be
Everybody
doing
was
it.
Right.
But there are like, I've helped hundreds of people, and they're happy,
Right.
and they're making money.
Yeah,
or,
sure.
and they have the appreciation, or they have the property. But it is quite astonishing how, like, I'll go to a house and someone has a fake lease, but now we can't go through it. It has to go through a legal process.
Right. Right.
Police, it's just nobody wants to deal with it on the spot. It takes a long time, and
Right.
we should be helping them too. Like, if someone's being scammed that way, we have to help people find solutions as well. And I just find, working with investors from around the world who have properties in America, is that sometimes you're just on your own,
Right.
and you need someone who's like myself, or a realtor, or anybody who's looking after you,
Right.
families here, and it's not easy. Yeah, it's a headache unto itself.
Okay. So I have one more question, and I'm going to ask you, for your contact information if somebody has properties that they want to buy and sell. So primarily your buyers and your sellers, are they bigger investors, or are they more the mom and pop where maybe somebody has, 2 or 3 properties, that kind of thing? Or is it just a mixed bag?
Oh, it's everything.
Everything.
At this particular moment, I'm trying to work with builders who are looking to build bigger units, a lot more on, because you know it's very hard to get a profit from a single family these
Right.
days, and you're just trying to maximize the land and everything you got. So I work with A to Z.
It is.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Now, if somebody wanted to get a hold of you, how could they do that?
You could send me an email at mickfiteni@kw.com, or my number is 484-340-0598. I'm on Instagram, Fiteni the Real Estate Genie. I don't really like social media, but I do it.
Right.
But yeah, and just I'm always available.
Perfect. Okay. Well, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.
It was a conversation I did want to talk about, just on the investment side, and what does that look like? I deal with a lot of people, buying and selling homes for people to live in, but on the investment side, it was interesting. So thanks for that.
Thank you. Yeah, maybe next time we can talk about wholesalers too.
Oh, we'll get into that.
Yeah.
Well, that's the Real Estate Show with Pat Lopez, where we talk everything real estate. Be sure to follow the show on Facebook and Instagram, and be sure to subscribe below. I have some great guests coming up. So super important. You don't want to miss any of the shows. Also, leave a comment. Tell me things that you like, you don't like, or some show topics you'd like me to cover in the future, like wholesalers, right? We'll get into that. So I hope you enjoyed the show. Thanks for watching.